Hey everyone, I'm Vince. I'm the pastor of First Christian Church Greeley. Yesterday in my church, we dealt with this particularly difficult story in the Gospel of Mark and also in the Gospel of Matthew about Jesus ostensibly calling this woman a dog. This woman comes to Jesus and begs for him to heal her daughter, and he says, first, the children have to eat. It's not right to take the children's food and give it to the dogs. Matthew expands on this a little bit by telling us that Jesus is referring here to Jews and Gentiles. Jesus is saying, I came for the Jews, they're the children, and it's not right to give what is for them to you, the Gentile, the dog. So there's that, right? There have been an awful lot of ways that Christian scholars have tried to make sense of this. They generally fall into three categories. The first is that Jesus was basically joking around, or he was being sarcastic, or one way or the other, his words really didn't mean what he said. They kind of meant the opposite of what he said. The second is that Jesus was testing her, that he already knew what she was going to answer, and all he was doing is he was trying to drag out that really good answer that she's going to give. And the third is that Jesus, being a product of his time, was just raised with this Judeo-centric view of the world and a patriarchal view of the world. And so he was rejecting this woman because she was not only a Gentile, but she was also a woman. Regardless of which camp you fall into, the point of the story is the woman's answer. There's no doubt that if this was a test, she overcame it. If Jesus' argument was ethnocentric, she broke through those boundaries. And if he was just being sarcastic or something like that, she turned it back around on him. Now, maybe he was expecting this, maybe he wanted this, I don't know, but she wins the day. Her answer was basically, okay, I'm a dog then. If that's what you think, then I'm a dog. Treat me like a dog. Even dogs have to eat. I remember my dad telling me one time, you know, something's funny, a commercial can come on about starving children and I don't bat an eye. But if a commercial comes on about starving dogs, I have to get up and walk out of the room because I have tears in my eyes. You know, after the recent presidential debate, depending on when you're watching this, we just had a presidential debate a few weeks ago between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Maybe their first debate, maybe their only debate, I don't know. And there was a statement made that people in Springfield, Ohio, that immigrants in Springfield, Ohio were eating pets. And this has become a big debate whether this is actually happening. And I guess it's so big because depending on, if you can prove it's happening, then you can really stick it to one side. And if you can prove it's not happening, you can really stick it to the other side. So I'm not making any claims to what presidential candidate's better. I'm not making any claims as to whether there's actually people eating dogs or pets in Springfield, Ohio. What stuns me is that there are a lot of people who actually do believe this, but there has, at least as far as I know, there hasn't been any talk about sending food or resources over to these people who are starving and who need it. And I wonder, and I say this fearing I know what the answer is, I wonder if the outcry would be different if we thought there were starving dogs there. When Hurricane Katrina hit, and this was, I know a lot of this from experience. I'm from Louisiana, and I had a lot of family members who were displaced because of that. But you may remember New Orleans was completely caught off guard. The hurricane was supposed to go one way, and it shifted immediately and just plowed right into New Orleans. People were caught off guard, but people were stranded. They were trying to get out of the city. Hospitals were out of power. The sick and the elderly and the poor were left to really starve to death or die from heat exhaustion. The government took a lot of criticism for this, for not getting the resources that were needed there fast enough. However, when pictures emerged of dogs that were left behind because of evacuation rules, the public outcry was enormous. Helicopters were paid for by private donors to go in and get the dogs and take them to safety, or take them to their owners, and sometimes that meant flying them clear across the country. And so you wonder if the people who were in New Orleans would have said very happily, okay, I'm a dog. Please, please, I'm a dog. Woof, woof, come get me. Now, I'm going to tell you where I fall in the dilemma above, the one where we asked, why did Jesus say this? And I have to admit to you, I'm in the camp that Jesus was like us. I'm in the camp that he was raised with a particular set of beliefs that were around a particular group of people who thought something very specific about another group of people. I am in agreement with the author of the book of Hebrews, who says that Jesus was tempted in the same ways that we are tempted. And I think that includes ethnocentrism. I think he was tempted to say, my people first. And I think he grew from that experience, and he grew from this woman's answer. Matthew tells us that after this experience, a multitude of people were brought to Jesus from every region, and without asking their nationality, or their race, or their gender, or even if they had great faith, Jesus healed them all. And I think the lesson here is that we need to be like Jesus. We need to grow beyond our own views of tribalism, of putting down people, people who don't look like us, maybe even in the view of seeing more value in our pets than in living, breathing human beings. And we need to grow out of that. We need to grow out of the beliefs that a lot of times we were raised with, that people who don't look like us or act like us or believe like us don't deserve the things that we do, and somehow they're below us. When we read this story correctly, this is a story of great hope. Hope that we too can overcome our prejudices and our pasts, and that we can see the value in every person, not just the value, but the image of God from which they were made. I hope you found that particularly helpful. I hope that it helped make the story make more sense, and I hope that it helps you on your own spiritual journey as we all seek to become more like Christ. On my channel, I give talks like this. I also do book reviews. I do sermons in short. I do responses to people. I do Bible studies. So if you like content like that, make sure you subscribe. If you want more content like this, make sure you let me know in the comments.